So this is Ortis Regni. This is the digital version of the card game of the same name. It's a card game where players take on the role of earls, vying to be the first king of England. Basically have to just eliminate the other opponents, be the last one standing to win. Now, it's a card game where you build a deck before you play. Each player builds a 24 card deck selected from an identical pool of 90 cards. And so it's deck building along the lines of Hearthstone or Magic, but it's not a collector card game. Everyone has the same 90 cards to choose from. There are 6 each of 15 different cards. So my 24 card deck here consists of a selection of the 90 different cards. I've taken 6 lands, the maximum that you can take with lands, to make a land heavy deck here. Some market towns, castles, vassals, princes, a church, 2 banners, 2 allies, an intrigue and a treachery. Now with this mix, I'm gonna try to take on my opponents. Everyone else will have their own deck that they've designed. I'm going to be playing against 2 AI opponents. I'll dial those up to hard. Take a look at my deck again here. Not because I've paid the $3.99 and I've upgraded, I can add a 4th AI, but for now I'll go for a slightly smaller game. Favorite colors, yellow of these, so I'm going to switch my color. Playing against Gudrun and Wolfwin. And we'll start this game. We've got this nice 3D environment. 1 colored cube for each of us goes into this leather bag to draw, determine who goes first. Turns out it will be green first, followed by red, and then myself. Each player is dealt 5 cards as their starting hand, and then if you want you can redraw that hand and you have to keep what you dealt. And in this case I'm not terribly happy with what I've been dealt as my starting hand, so I am going to redraw. I'll have to live with that. The green players put out a prince in their palace, making it a prince lord. The red players put out a market town. Putting a prince into a palace is a good starting move. Gives you the ability to fight a little bit. The risks are low. Any other lord in a castle, if they're hit by a treachery, they'll lose their castle, but the prince won't lose the castle that he's slotted into, or in this case the palace. So I finished my turn and I draw a card to end it. Red has put out the market town and land combo. It gets him a double recruit. The market doubles the recruiting ability of that land, and it also doubles the ability to field armies with land. So normally you could field 1 army per land. With the market town attached, you can field 2 armies per land. Now I'd like to put out a market town first and then a land, but I don't have my market town. I haven't been fortunate enough to draw it yet. So I'm going to put out my land anyhow. It gets me just 1 on my recruit. Finish the turn. There's the market. Would have preferred to put it out first, but putting it out second is almost as good. They've begun fighting already. A battle card is drawn. In this case it was a normal battle card. Because green brought a prince lord into the battle, he was able to actually steal one of the properties that he destroyed. Now I'd like to double the effectiveness of my land with that market town. I don't feel too vulnerable because I don't see too much attacking force out here. Otherwise, I'd be tempted to put out a tower. Any card can be played upside down in front of your earldom as a defensive tower. So red here has 2 towers that he's played in that way already. Now what I'm going to do is make use of that market town to get a double recruit. Clicking on this little helmet icon gets me a recruit. These icons are recruit, attack, and tower. I'm lucky enough to have gotten 2 knights in that recruiting. Knights are slightly better than infantry. They do 2 damage in combat rather than 1. Finish my turn. Get an excess market town. I only really need 1 there. I'll use that as a tower. Now, green's bringing a larger army to battle now, but it wasn't large enough. Now what I'd like to do is get a second fief out here so I can get one of these vassals installed into it as a vassal lord. I can also tower this spare market. I see a white bead went out in front of this bag because there was just combat. And every turn in which there's combat, a white bead goes out. And every turn in which there's no combat, a black bead goes out. And when it gets to 8 beads, the Vikings activate. They're this fourth force on the tabletop here. An NPC force. We'll get to how they work when they activate. Now, I've got this second land, which I can place on this fief. I get a double recruit right away because of that market town. Finish up my turn. Got another prince. There can only be 1 prince in play for each player at a time, so that's redundant for me right now. Now red has a big wall of towers there, but they don't have much to defend it with. They don't have lords. Got 1 army, but they don't have a land to field it with. So I'm going to pick on him by attacking his towers. By attacking them directly, I can kill the towers. Normally they would absorb damage if I attacked his other things without dying. Now I can field 4 army cards because of my 2 lands, which are doubled in effectiveness by the market town. I could also play some of these vassals from my hand, but it's not worth it in this case, and I don't need to. Didn't defend himself with anything. He could have defended himself with something from the hand, but maybe he didn't have it. We see what he had used to make his towers. They get discarded. And I'm finished with that turn. No black bead goes out because there is combat that turn. The white bead goes back. Well, red is just getting picked apart at this point. I may as well join in that feeding frenzy. I should be able to defeat that palace and take it. So I attack the palace directly. I need to do 3 damage to it. And should I win, I'll get to loot it because I'm bringing a Prince Lord into battle. He's done 2 damage to me with his knight, which gets... The first one will be absorbed by my Prince Lord, and the second will kill off one of my infantry. But he's been defeated. I can pick either of these. In this case, I want his palace. It's slightly stronger than a normal castle. It takes 3 points to kill rather than the 2 that a castle takes. Now, he does have a bunch of armies there, and he could start to attack me, and I'm barely defended here with my 1 tower, so I'd like to tower some more. I guess I could get away with towering that backup prince, but that's gonna make me need to be careful. I haven't seen him using politics, so I'm gonna risk towering my allies card as well. He's got a big army, backed with lots of lands and a market town, but no towers. Guess I'm going to try to keep up a bit on the ability to field forces by playing a land. You recruited, Drew. Well, I want to get this vassal into this castle as I intended before. That way he can be used in battle. I could potentially loot two things by having a prince lord and a vassal lord. I'd like to put up that church, so that if a church decides card comes up in battle, it favors me. Now he's bequeathed. He played a banner card on his prince lord that allows him to reshuffle his discard pile into his deck. It's important because if you go to draw a card at the end of your turn and there are none left, you die of old age. So he's passed his power and his earldom onto his heir. See, the prince did get discarded as part of that process. It's almost like the prince is him now. Now I'm going to tower this castle because I don't need that. I've got plenty here. And I'm going to attack him. Mostly because there's no towers here, it's just looking too worthwhile. He's got plenty of armies to protect himself with, but I'm going to kill a bunch of them. I'm going to give him everything I've got. A raid against this fief, so I attack the lands and not the palace itself. If I'm victorious here, I'll kill lands, but not necessarily, I won't kill the palace. I'll bring everything I've got into this, which is a bit risky. If it's a defender wins, the prince and the vassal will be in trouble. 11 damage. He's got, well, this should be enough to make him bleed. They're going to exchange an awful bunch of damage here because it was a normal battle where damage gets applied in both directions. So he's basically killed everything that I've fielded. The points that were assigned to the prince and the vassal won't kill them. But I did spill over enough damage to kill off 4 of his things, of which I get to keep 2. So I'm going to add these to a second fief here, just a bit of redundancy. Even if I lose this first fief, I've still got some ability. Now I've lost all my armies, but then again he has very few, so I'm not too worried. So, he's played a treachery card on my vassal. I don't have the allies to stop it with, so I pretty much have to concede. This is a bad situation because I'll lose the castle and its attached properties at the same time. He's made an effective move. I guess I made a mistake attaching the Marquetannian land to that fief. I really can't do much damage to him right now because I lost all my army, so I'm really going to have to spend some time recruiting. Rather than recruiting this turn, I'll put out a land because it gets me the same recruiting effect, plus it puts out the land. A little bit more efficient if you've got it. I'll probably end up towering that castle, but I really don't need to do it yet. I think the 4 is enough. Vikings come closer. One more black bead and they will activate. Which I guess they're going to, because I'm going to put out this land. Trying to build up my forces. There's that one treachery card in my hand. I have a feeling it's not going to work, that he'll have the allies he needs to stop it. So, green has gained control of the Vikings just for this turn. You draw a cube from the bag. At the start, there's just one colored cube for each player, and that's where it is right now. If we send emissaries to the Vikings, we can add cubes to that bag, make it more likely to gain control of them. But here I've got 7 damage coming in. 3 of these are Viking chieftains. They do 2 damage each. And one of them is a normal Viking that does 1 damage, so 7 damage. Now, he didn't attack my towers, so they're going to absorb the first 4 damage. 3 are going to spill over to my properties here, and I'll lose them. So I want to protect them. At this point, I've put out enough to more than protect the incoming damage, and I'm going to kill off all 4 of those Vikings. That'll buy us a few turns. They'll come back into the game 1 card at the end of each turn, and they won't reactivate until they're back up to 4 again, which is 1 more than the number of players that were in this game to start. Now he got an attacker win card, which is terrible for me. That means my prince has been captured. The Vikings don't even allow a ransom, so they're just going to kill the prince. I did put out enough to prevent him from raiding my properties, but now I'm regretting the fact that I had towered a prince earlier. I don't have any more princes. I'm not going to be able to bequeath this game, so I need to finish it before that kills me. Towards that end, I think I'm going to go and try and send an emissary to the Vikings. Pick up one of these vassals, one of 2 cards that can do it. The vassals can be an emissary to the Viking, and they'll get you 1 colored cube of your type. A monk will get you 2 colored cubes of your type, so they're even better as emissaries. It's now more likely that I'll get it than him, and I did get it. So I use this large Viking force to pick away at that large tower wall. He did 1 damage back at them. I'm gonna put that one on a weak one. I'm now seeing the Vikings as my battering ram. I've got another vassal that I can send as a second emissary. So now I'm even more likely to get the vassals, or the Vikings, who should be my battering ram here. So I've finished that turn. Now there's no guarantee that he won't draw, as he just did. So that large force is potentially real trouble for me now. Except that I am able to put out enough force, just enough. He'd need to do 3 damage to my palace. The first 4 absorbed by my towers. I'll absorb the next 3. This means 2 damage are going to head through that palace, which won't be enough. I know that I'm not going to lose my palace here, but I am going to lose these armies, and I'm going to slaughter these Vikings that I was hoping would be mine to use. It'll take them a while to come back again. Normal battle. Exchange of damage. Only 2 was sent to this palace, not enough to kill it. Now the green player has gotten cheeky, and he's put out a banner card to throw a joust. Normally I would have to pick one of my properties here and ante it, and then if I wanted to, I could pick another card to tilt in a bit of a mini game that plays like poker. However, there is a counter here. I can play a banner card and avoid the joust. But I'm in deep trouble here, as it's indicating to me I've got only 3 cards left in my deck. I basically have no ability to bequeath at this point, and unless I can kill him in the next 3 or 4 turns, then I'm out of here. And I've already spent my armies. I just need to recruit them back, and it's just not gonna work out for me so well. So if I were to review what I did terribly wrong here, it was playing my spare prince as a tower. Wasn't a good idea, didn't work. That's my intrigue card. Could let me steal this opponent's lands perhaps, but it's just not going to help me to avoid this loss. Now I could play all 4 of my army cards and stop the damage he's sending at my towers. He's attacked the towers directly, but I'm not sure that that's worth it. I'm going to just send 1 and hope for a lucky battle card here. Didn't get my lucky battle card. I won't have saved, well, I've saved 1 tower. These go back into my discard pile, which unfortunately is not going to get reshuffled. As my final move, I think I will bitterly attempt to assassinate his prince. He's got the allies, as I sort of suspected. Now there's no cards left. I will get one final action, but it's just not going to be enough to change the outcome of this game. Send out all my armies to try to defend against this raid. Two got through. He looted them with his prince and vassal lords. And this will be the last turn of my game because I won't be able to pick up another. I'll try to intrigue his lands. And it worked. I stole 2 of his lands. Makes me feel slightly better about the fact that when I go to draw a card, I lose. So there you have it. I've lost this game. I hope you got a feel a bit for how Ortus Regni works. In future videos, I plan to show off some different strategies. Thanks for watching.